All right, everybody, thanks for joining in. And I don't know if this episode came out exactly after the last one that we released, but when we had done our latest Friday the 13th episode, that was part of a little experiment that we wanted to do on the show where we had some kids of today. Sorry, guys, for calling me kids. 17 years old. I don't know what young adults of today getting their view on a horror movie from back when me and Mark were kids. And one of the things that I thought would be kind of cool with that is having them pick a movie from current times and then kind of getting the opposite of that, getting a modern movie take and seeing what the old man's opinion is on that as well. So my youngest daughter, Abby, she picked a movie for this episode. And again, I'm joined by my youngest daughter, Abby, and her friend, Gwen. And this episode, we're talking about the movie that my daughter picked, which was 2016's Eyes of My Mother. I will admit, because originally when we first started talking about this, me and her, she was like, oh, let's do like Troll 2, let's do...
Frogs.
Yeah, she did say Frogs was one of the movies that she said. What was some of the other ones? You wanted to do like...
Cannibal Holocaust.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And yeah, a bunch of like really old movies, and some of them would have been good movies to talk about. So then I was like, no, we got to do a good movie or a new movie. And then we didn't really talk about it. And then she said, yeah, okay, I got one. And then when we started this movie, I was like, what is this? I never heard of it before. And this movie came out and it was distributed by Magnet. So those of you that are familiar with like, you know, video companies and stuff, Magnet is one of those like ultra under the radar companies. So it's not a surprise I've never heard of it before. But this is, I don't even know how to describe. I mean, it's definitely something you would call a horror movie. I mean, it kind of falls in line with The Witch and some of those other like recent like cerebral like type of horror movies, to where it's not really like a bunch of jump scares or anything, and it was filmed in black and white. And it's a very slow burn, and I believe that Gwen referred to it at one point that they don't speak right or something.
Or you said it was what like
it was
awkward dialogue.
It was just like, it's not like, there are some movies where like, for example, like, you know, take like the Marriage Story movie that just came out where the like dialogue is very like realistic and sounds like something an actual person would say. But then like, for example, take like a Wes Anderson movie and anything that any character says or like any way that a character acts in those movies is just like not realistic at all of like an actual real life human. And I guess like this movie was kind of just like a similar performance of like very awkward, tense delivery of lines. And I don't know if that necessarily was just like the writing, but I'm pretty sure it was written to kind of be that way, to kind of portray like the uncomfortable like situation. And I feel like a lot of it has to do with like the characters, which are very abnormal people. I don't know. How did you feel about the like writing, Abby?
Well, I'm the one who picked it out, and I hadn't seen it before I chose it. But I don't know. I liked it. I think in this context, it works really well because, you know, it's a movie that's kind of meant to unsettle you. I don't think it's meant to feel realistic, so I think it works.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was very, like, uncomfortable. There are so many different parts in this movie that are just like, oh, Lord. And I feel like the black and white, like, choice makes, like, all the weird body parts, because there's a lot of emphasis upon, like, human anatomy and stuff like that, and it just, like, really emphasizes, like, the kind of, like, grotesque vision of it.
I don't know.
It was a very Abby movie, because Abby has a very distinct taste in a media which she chooses to consume. Because, like, we were talking about doing this podcast for quite a while, and she was, like, trying to decide what movie, like, we were going to bring to the table, and she's like, what about this one? It's called Eyes of My Mother, and it's black and white, and it's indie, right?
Well, I don't know. I think... Well, I kind of just, the way that I chose it, I literally, we talked about this, and I was like, okay, cool, I don't want something that I've seen, and I don't want something that you've seen, or that you've even heard of. So I literally went on, like, Rotten Tomatoes, and I looked through this giant list of all of the best movies of the 2010s, and just, like, screenshotted a bunch of them, and, like, watched the trailers and stuff. And... ultimately chose that one. I don't know. I kind of just went into it with, like, what I enjoy in horror, which is very eerie, disturbing.
You like,
shit.
yeah, where it's, like, quiet and you're trying to figure out what the hell is going on through this person's mind.
And I think, I don't know, I'm a very big fan of, like, camera work and how they infiltrate that into the story, and I think through the trailers, they show some of those, like, more shaky camera movements in the beginning when he's, like, dragging the body into the barn and it's, like, shaking along with the tarp. I was like, ooh, and then you get, like, the bathtub scene, it's, like, the overview, and it's, like, his dead, mutilated body, and, like, the milk bath.
And then she, like, gets in the tub with him, and I'm like, oh, Lord.
I was like, oh,
lovely.
Sweet. No, but, I don't know.
Also, it had, like, anything, like, foreign, because they were speaking, like... Portuguese.
I would assume.
I think. I don't know. It just it, like, you know, it, like, utilized aesthetic qualities to also tell the story, which is something that, like, I have not watched a lot of horror movies, but, like, with movies like The Witch and, like, Midsummer and, like, Us, like, I've realized the incorporation of, like, using a lot of visual techniques and, like, certain aesthetics to kind of get the point across, or to, like, kind of create, like, atmospheres of, like, eeriness, you know. And this one was, like, they kind of were, like, it's quiet, and you have no idea what this character is thinking, and yet they're doing all these actions, and you're just watching these long scenes of just, like, a person sitting there and thinking, and you're just like, what the hell?
Sure.
I mean, like, see, I feel like there's a very key difference in watching a movie with other people and watching it by yourself, even though, like, Abby's dad was like, no, you have to be quiet when you're watching this movie. But it's like, when I really want to watch a movie and really experience it, like, I will sit, like, and just watch it by myself and, like, have no distractions around me, so I can, like, really, like, take it in. I feel like as if I had watched this movie on my own, maybe I would have had, like, a different experience, and I wouldn't have, like, allowed myself to make, like, the same reactions, you know? Because, like, whenever something weird happened, I'd be like, what the fuck is going on? And then Abby'd be like, she's just dead concentrating on, like, the grotesque, like, man suckling on, like, a pig.
He did oink a bit, so that was nice. I don't know. Well, I kind of... with, like, the aesthetics of it, I'm very, like, I've kind of familiarized myself with, like, that genre of filmmaking where it's very, like, a lot of long takes, and, you know, it's not like a traditional plot line where it's, like, 3 acts, and it's kind of just, like, so I was kind of just sitting there being like, if I was trying to make a video essay about this movie, what would I say? To, like, overanalyzing every aspect of it.
And I feel like that's what a lot of the people who direct these kinds of movies, I think that's what they want. Or, like, their perfect audience would be the people who are, like, overanalyzing things, because they themselves, I feel like the purpose of, like, a lot of these long scenes with such silence is because in their own heads they have, like, this overanalyzation, and even, like, the actors have their own viewpoint of, like, what the character is thinking. And some people, like, I think that the use of silence is powerful in some parts and also mundane in others. but I feel like it's all based on what your personal, like, preference is for, like, movies and stuff. Like, I don't know. I guess it's like, do you like trying to figure out what the character is thinking, or do you not?
Well, I really like psychology and things that mess with your head, so yes. I mean, I can understand criticism with that, because I think a lot of, like, teens nowadays only really like horror movies that are filled with jump scares, which is not what I like, because I hate them.
I guess, I mean, I watch a good amount of movies, and I, like, am interested with, like, filmmaking and that kind of stuff, and I do, like, a fair bit of, like, you know, messing around with, like, video editing and photography and that kind of stuff. But, like, I'm a theater kind of person, and so I really enjoy, like, plays and that kind of stuff, and the kind of sense of, like, using words to, like, tell a story. Where, like, because there's a big difference with, like, the stage world and, like, the film world when it comes to, like, acting and portraying, like, emotions. And with the film world, you can kind of get a point across with silence a lot easier than you really can on the stage, I feel. So I feel like that's how it was kind of effective in this movie.
Yeah, well, I mean, film and theater production are very different, so...
Unless you watch the movie Fences.
Yeah, I've actually read the play and I analyzed it last year. I have not seen it live, but I have seen other August Wilson's plays. I saw 2 Trains Running last year at the Rep, and that was pretty good. But yeah, I still have to watch the Fences movie.
Yeah, because it plays like a play.
Yeah,
The way it's shot and stuff. Mm. I mean, because it has the same. I mean, this is completely off topic, but Denzel Washington was in Fences, and everybody else that was in the movie was in the play as well. Yeah. But the way that it's shot, it's like a film version of a play. Which is weird. But I mean, when you watch it, you're watching a movie, but you're watching a play at the same time.
So like, you know how like people will like release like professionally filmed like versions of like plays and musicals and stuff to like for like a limited release. So like kind of like that, but like put into like an actual like produced like movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
You should watch it.
I should.
You don't have daddy issues, do you?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I like my dad. He pretty good. No problems with that.
Because that is a
sensitive. It's a very big topic with.
But if you read it, then you know.
Last year for school, like I read and analyzed the piano lesson and that show and Fences, and they both kind of touch on that. But, like, a lot of August Wilson's, like, work kind of, touches on the chronological order of, like, the African-American experience within America. And it covers, like, a lot of, like, the struggles that they go through. But it's really interesting because you really can kind of get the feeling of those characters through, reading the words alone. And, like, I saw 2 Trains Running and I hadn't read it before, but, like, even just watching that show alone, like, you really get, like, the capture of the feelings. And it, like, it's just the perfect combination of, like, telling the history while also, like, telling the story of characters not related to it, This suddenly turned into a theater podcast.
No, it's what we do.
But what was your opinion of The Eyes of My Mother?
So at first I was like, what is this weird shit my daughter picked again? But at the same time, because, I mean, we saw The Witch and... what was the other one we went and saw in the theater?
Crimson Peak.
Yeah, that was another one. Crimson Peak was another one that was very, like, almost, like, obscure. Uh-huh. I mean, you don't necessarily want to say it's, like, a straight-up horror movie, but it doesn't fall into any other category. In this movie, Crimson Peak, there was a couple of jumps, but there's no real, like, scares, but there's no other category to really place it, like, I mean, at the beginning of the movie, you have this guy who comes into the house, and he's like, be a good host. or be a good hostess or whatever. And then you cut to the next scene and he's like hammering her in the bathtub or whatever he was doing.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, what? And then you go towards the end of the movie, the third act of the movie, where she takes the baby, and then you have this, like, whatever it was, like a 5-minute scene of the baby just, like, crying.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I don't know how I mean, I guess I would categorize it as horror. I don't know if this is a movie you would ever watch, like, over and over and over again.
No, definitely not.
Well, I think with movies like this where it's meant to, like, disturb you and traumatize you, it's best to just watch it once because it's never going to be the same again.
Yeah. Another movie that, like, I personally, like, have watched and, like, have had no desire to watch again, like, would be, like, The Grave of the Fireflies, which is, like, this, like, is similar, very, like, artistic and, like, I wouldn't necessarily, like, say, well, okay, like, disturbing movie that is just, like, you get all these, like, horrible things that have happened, and you just, like, it leaves you so distraught and confused at the end where you don't think that you could emotionally handle it again. And I don't know if I so much was paying attention. I mean, I was watching this movie, but I don't think I was really allowing myself to get emotionally invested to the point that I was, like, to the full point of disturbance. But I feel like this is what it was trying to do, you know? Yeah.
Sure.
But I feel like also there were, like, you know, the elements of, like, you could say, like, the slasher parts of it, because, like, she goes around killing all these people, and there's, like, a body count, and you're like, who's gonna be next? Who's gonna get the knife next? You know?
I mean, but she also doesn't kill a lot of people. She just, like, slits their throats so they can't speak, and then scoops their eyes out. Well, I don't know how she did it, but that's just how.
Well, the one dude, though, she's, like, hugging him, and she's like...
Yeah, well, yeah. That counts, too. Well, you know, gotta be safe.
And then they're like, because, like, the dude just showed, like, this movie didn't waste any time at all. Like, because the description of it is, like, this woman, like, her mom was, like, an eye surgeon and stuff like that. And I, like, reading the description of this movie, I thought her mother was going to be, like, this horrible woman who was, like, stealing eyes and doing all this creepy stuff. But, like, the mom was in it for, like, 2 seconds at the start. This dude just walks into house and is like, can I use the bathroom? And then, next thing you know, the mom making soup with mommy in the bathtub. and then the dad's just like, well, my wife's dead. Might as well just chain this dude up in the barn. There's no way my daughter will have some weird relationship with him. And then the daughter's feeding him and scooping his eyeballs out and saying he's her only friend. And next thing why were there chains in the barn in the first place?
I mean,
I don't know what her parents did in their free time.
Well, didn't she, like, watch it happen? Like, she watched him being dragged into the barn.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, I think that's the moral of the story.
Why did the father keep him alive?
Like, in front of your children.
Did he want to, like, torture him for, like, what? Because, like, the dad, like, showed, like, no emotion, like, at all throughout this entire movie.
Yeah, no.
And, like, he was kind of just used as, like, a symbol of, like, her family was, like, officially gone once, like, he had passed. Because, like, the symbolism and, like, topic of family was kind of, like, the main point of this movie, as the character was constantly trying to find a sense of, like, attachment and closeness, you know? So that's why she steals a freaking kid from some random lady and then raises her as her own child.
Yeah.
You know, all the nice, lovely stuff. I mean, the movie just basically ends with her holding her child in the corner with a knife as a bunch of police officers run and be like, whatever they tell you, remember I love you. And he's like, what? I'm sure that kid will have a lovely time in the foster care system as he's trying to compensate how the fact that he saw his real mother locked up in a barn, and this woman basically kept him as a prisoner in some random farm in the middle of nowhere. And that was his life, you know? Maybe they should make a movie about, like, him and his experience growing up.
What was his name? Like, Alejandro or something?
I think it was Alberto. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know. He was a little kid.
Yeah, well, I thought he was gonna turn into, like, another version of her, and, like, he was gonna see the death, and she was gonna, like, teach him
How to
her
murder
ways
and-
of, like, this is how you slit a throat.
This is how you prepare human flesh for dinner and taco night, son. Do you think she fed her son her father's venison, or like what? Like, what was she doing with that? We never like explicitly saw her like eating any of this like human flesh.
true.
She just kind of packed it up and saved it for like,
Well, it talks about her, like, not studying it, but, like, knowing a lot about it, so maybe she was, like, researching the dead people flesh.
for what?
I don't know, fun?
Yeah, maybe so. I feel like there wasn't a lot of eyeballs. Okay, well, kind of. All right.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's kind of the whole thing.
I feel
with
like
her was, like, oh,
she
you
kinda-
don't got no eyes anymore.
she scooped out the eyeballs,
Why
like,
were they so puffy?
I don't know how that works. I've never seen anybody with their eyeballs.
So were
scooped
you
out.
expecting when the dude was locked up in the thing, and then all of a sudden she went from being like 12 to being 30?
Yeah.
Were you expecting her to like implant her mom's eyes into that dude?
Ooh, I didn't.
Because that's what I thought. Like when she like scooped out his eyeballs, I was like, oh, she's gonna put her mom's eyes into that guy.
Or like a cow's eyes or something like
yeah,
that.
something weird.
Yeah, that would have been cool to see. I would have liked that. I just felt like there was gonna be more like subtle like things of like eyeballs. Like there's gonna be an eyeball on the table, or she's gonna eat an eyeball, or there's gonna be an eyeball staring at her, or just like eyes. What I guess it was just more subtle. Well, meanwhile, I just wanted like, there's an eyeball here, and then there's an eyeball here, and then she eats eyeballs for cereal at breakfast every morning.
That'd be fun.
You know?
What would you use as the milk? Blood?
Yeah,
Just the eyeball juice.
that's true.
The contact
Remember
solution?
towards the when she cut the cow eyeball open and went,
Yeah.
and then like all the goo came out of it. And then she was like, "This is what you see through," and holding up some weird marble gem thing.
Yeah, that reminded me because I dissected a squid one time, you know,
When?
at Discovery World
Oh,
last year at
yeah.
the field trip, and like we took the little pearl out of their eyeballs, and I just remember thinking that I wanted to take it home because I liked how it felt. Because it's just like, do we have pearls in our eyeballs? What if like, I bet there's a market for that on the black market. You know how like people
Yeah.
sell organs and stuff like that?
Yes.
Human eyeball pearls. Like what if our jewelry from like China and stuff like that you buy at Claire's is like human eyeball pearls? What if that's cheaper than plastic and real pearls?
You know,
We're wearing human eyeball pearls, everybody. I think you gotta be careful next time you go to Claire's or Walmart and you're like, oh, I just want some of these nice earrings. You never know.
nice is a little bit of an, over-exaggeration, but anyways, I've always wanted a pair of eyes, but that's a different conversation. I remember that I saw this girl, and she was like, this is my pair of deer eyes, and I just thought of, like, I've always wanted a pair of eyes, because one time in 7th grade, I saw a picture of a giant squid eyeball, and I was like, I need that.
You want it?
I want that right now. And it was beautiful. It looked like a little...
Yeah, but
It looked
like a pair of eyeballs and it like formaldehyde or
Yes.
something. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
I have deer jaw bones.
My uncle...
in my room.
I have a cow jaw.
I like bones. They're cool.
In 7th grade, I gave my science teacher a raccoon skull that my uncle gave me. He has like a giant barrel of animal bones that he's found.
See, that's why I want to work in a museum. I just want to like be able to like look at weird creatures in formaldehyde bottles, and like I also want to learn how to do taxidermy because I don't know. It's just weird what you can do with dead animals.
Yeah. The imagination.
The imagination of human manipulation for dead creatures.
Well, ooh, and also the girl who had the deer eyes, she also had a coin purse made out of a frog. She's like, this is Trevor.
What?
I loved him.
I went to this old lady's house who is my dad's coworker, and she had like this mansion.
Is it the meth lady or the coke?
What?
Coke lady?
No, no, two completely unrelated people. Anyways, and she had like this mansion in the woods, and she had like all these like weird knick-knack stuff. Ooh. And she like fed raccoons and things like that. She was kooky.
Can I meet her?
I don't know if she's still alive. Anyways, she had a dried up frog on her coffee table. Like a frog that had like gotten into her house and like died, and she just left it and let it dry out. And she just used it as a decoration on her coffee table. And I just remember picking it up and I'm like, what is this? And she's like, oh, that's a dried out frog my cat killed. I thought it looked cool, so I kind of just sat it there. And I was like, whoa, ew.
She uses that as a coaster.
This is my dried out frog. I named him Larry. I think he's kind of cute.
See, I feel like that's what my future house would look like.
You know, okay, but the one thing that she kind of did it with her father. I thought she was going to use her, like, the dead bodies as, like, decorations in her house.
I thought you were talking about your dad's coworker.
No!
I was like, oh, that's nice.
Well, she just had her dad, like, sitting there, and she's just having a little dance party. I'm like, oh.
Well, I think that was
How stinky was he? Is she, like,
probably,
you know, it says that she's, like, have like a desensitization to death.
Yes.
She like have no nostril, no like ability to smell either.
No nose nostrils?
Yeah, that's the word. Like her rotting father is just like vibing in a chair right there, and she's just like, I'm just gonna dance a little bit. Also, how did she move him around like a full-grown man who's probably like in rigor mortis?
He's frail and old. Okay, they're weak and
he kind of looked like the creature from Pan's Labyrinth when they stuck him in the tub.
Oh.
Well, Abby wouldn't know because she didn't make it through that movie.
Okay,
you know the one where he has like
Yeah.
I love that one.
Get out of there.
I thought when I was younger, I literally thought it was a horror movie because that was the only like character in that movie that I knew of, and I was like, that's terrifying. And then I didn't watch until like a couple years ago. So fun story.
So okay, you know, like we were talking about at the beginning of this episode, how you wanted to like get the young generation's opinion of like horror movies from like what would be considered like our era. So like, what is it like, you know, growing up with a certain like genre and way of portraying horror movies, and then like seeing the genre kind of evolve into today, you know?
It's funny you bring that up because you had the evolution of the slasher movie, which started in 78 and then moved throughout the entire 80s. And then you had the 90s, which were garbage. You had Scream in the 90s, and then you had a bunch of like I Know What You Did Last Summer and all of this stuff. And then 2000s came around and you had like Saw, and then you had like Paranormal Activity, and then you had like The Conjuring and stuff. And so you had this like kind of flip-flop of like where everything was good again. And then you even had like in the 2010s where even like closing out, so you had like movies like The Witch and movies like this, but then you had other movies too that ended up sort of being mainstream, which weren't supposed to be mainstream, but like Human Centipede and other stuff like that. But now you're getting into the 2020s, and now you have movies like Fantasy Island and I know. And what was the one that came out? Like they're doing like remakes of like 90s movies too. It's like you had like the Grunge remake that came out not too long ago. So, but it's weird that like it took like a complete like 360 where like stuff was like really good and then was like crap and then really good and then now it's like crap
remakes
again.
Yeah. But there's some like I feel like there's more there. I feel like there's an oncoming exploration, or like there's a from what I see is there's a lot more of those psychological thrillers are becoming kind of like the masterpieces of like the horror movies. I don't know if they necessarily would be called that, but like you have movies like Midsummer and Us and Get Out and that kind of stuff, which don't necessarily like revolve around like, you know, slashers and that kind of stuff, but are kind of more like there's this crazy cult or there's these crazy people and how are these people going to get out of this situation, that are kind of like becoming like the new standard of like that kind of, I don't know, genre or whatever.
Yeah. And it's weird too with that, because you have like movies like Get Out and Us, which were made by Jordan Peele, who some people, myself included, don't really think those are really that great. But then you have other movies like, you know, we just went and saw, me and Mark just went and saw a movie not too long ago called Underworld, which is a Kristen Stewart movie, which isn't something you would ever really...
Wait.
Yeah? Underwater.
You said-
That.
I didn't mean underwater.
Underwater? Go on.
Underwater, yeah. And, I mean, it's not, like, necessarily a great movie, but it's like one of those, like, oh, hey, it's a cool, fun creature feature type of movie. These types of movies, and to throw this in, like, Midsummer is another one. The Lighthouse is another one that just came out not too long ago that had some critical acclaim. That's another one of those, like, thinker type of horror movies, which was also shot in black and white. I don't know if it was done on purpose or not. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird that it goes like in these like sort of like waves, but it's also, I mean, I guess you kind of have that
with anything
throughout but the other thing that, I mean, it goes back to the 80s, but you have the PG-13 rating, so you have a lot of these studios that are like, oh, well, let's just not do a bunch of gore, we'll just do some jump scares, and maybe throw a couple F-bombs into it, and then we'll get a PG-13 rating.
Yeah.
And then that way we'll get some more, whatever, a bigger audience. Whereas if we go for a straight, like, gore movie, or if we go for something that, you know, because nowadays, you know, you have a lot of straight-to-video or straight-to-streaming stuff to where they can get away with a lot of the gore and stuff to where, you don't have to really necessarily worry about a rating.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's weird how much Netflix lets get by. Like, I'm like, what, is this even allowed? But Netflix is just like, yeah, they can do whatever they want in these shows. It's strange.
Yeah.
Are we waiting for my response?
I don't know. What is your interpretation of
the evolution of the horror genre?
Yeah.
I think more movies like The Witch and this movie, The Eyes of My Mother, should start, like, not taking over the genre, but influencing filmmakers into exploring the genre a little bit more rather than just making, like, jump scares and let's, like, get really cheap about it and not care about the actual quality of the movie and just throw a bunch of, you know, like, poorly put together jump scares into, like, a 2-hour movie and call it a day.
Yeah.
I hate it.
I mean, like, that's why, like, I have never really gone and saw horror movies or, like, ever really considered it, is because the majority of, like, things being advertised to me are all those similar, like, jump scare, teen scare kind of movies, and I'm just like, that does not seem like worth the time to watch. And, like, my younger sister is the kind of person who they, like, want to watch them because she's like, oh, it's scary, so she'll, like, go and watch it, and then she'll come back and be like, oh, that was dumb, you know? And it's just like, if I'm going to spend the time to, like, watch a movie, I want to, like, kind of get something out of it, or, like, at least learn something from it, you know?
Did you learn something from this movie?
Yeah. I don't know. I guess cows also have pearls in their eyeballs. Also, indeed. That. Yeah.
Well,
I guess it's like sometimes it's not necessarily like I don't know, factual learning. Maybe it's just more like this is a way that a film can be interpreted, or like this is a way that like people could write like a character, you know, or like I don't know, because like I do theater and I like acting, and like now when I like watch movies I try to think of like, oh, like how did this actor like go into this, trying to think of like how they were going to like portray this, you know, like trying to figure out like what was going through their head while they were awkwardly running through a forest to pretending to stab a man, you know, like I don't know, I don't know, cow eyeballs,
yeah.
right?
At the end of the day,
People die. The story of horror movies. Okay, but like...
Beautifully said.
But like, are there horror movies where like that don't... Can you name a horror movie that doesn't involve like ghosts and death and murdering and gore? But like, would that even be a horror movie then?
Yeah, I mean, there are some. I mean, we're just talking about like Us. That's one that doesn't have really any death or gore in it.
Yeah.
You know, there's other ones as well that, well, the Witch has some of that stuff.
Yes, it has death in it numerous times.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And that one, it's a lot. I mean, it's literally called The Witch, so
The Witch.
it's right there.
But there is, I mean, we just watched, this goes way back to the early 80s again, but we just watched, like, Poltergeist the other day. There's not really, I'm trying to think, does anybody actually die in Poltergeist? I mean, there are some, I mean, you have, like, again, to go back to another movie that kind of falls into the same sort of weird subgenre of this one does, but, like, Human Centipede, like... I mean, that's another one of like
yummy.
The whole purpose of that movie is just to disturb you, which I think was kind of the purpose of this movie.
Yeah.
Was just to make you uneasy. You know, I don't think anybody actually...
You know, kind of like that body horror kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is, like, personally, like, that's the kind of stuff that makes me scared rather than, like, somebody going around and killing people. Like, seeing, like, something based off of, like, what real life is, or like real human things. It's just like, ugh, that's what humans actually are, you know? It's just like, ugh.
Killing machines.
Alright, so I'm going to give this one... Well, I'm going to wait. You go ahead. Abby, what do you give this?
I liked it, so I don't know.
But if you liked it, so a thumbs up?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I'm giving it like a middle thumb or like a thumbs up. I can't really tell. Like I'm trying to like process in my head if I like actually like really enjoyed it, or if I kind of just was like, well, that was a thing. But like now after like talking about it and like really like analyzing it, I don't know. It was good. Yeah, thumbs up, I guess.
All right, thumbs up. So I'll give it a thumbs up too. So I thought it was actually pretty good. At first I was like, what the hell are we watching? And then I was like, oh wait, we're watching an Abby movie.
Yeah. It did get some recognition at Sundance, which I was like, oh, he's not gonna like that, so we're watching it. Anyways, someone called it like a gothic American nightmare.
It was creepy.
Yeah.
I didn't like that man suckling like a pig. I
liked it.
Cow eyes.